Hi, you're watching Saturday in the Woodworking Shop with Andrew Pitts, where we talk things woodworking.
I got a question from Ricky. He asked, when will you be building furniture again? Well, that's a good question. I've been into the CNC quite a bit lately and still am. But you know, building furniture is not like the movie Field of Dreams that says if you build it, they will come. When there's just no commissions and lots of folks wanting some carved objects such as this Naval Officer's Insignia Box that I'm working on, well, that's where I'm going to put my effort so I can be busy in the shop. So let's take a look at that Insignia Box.
Actually, I've been quite busy with these little boxes. Just in the last 2 weeks, I think I've had 6 orders, and it takes a while to make each one. But this is a nice little Insignia box. The box consists of 3 levels. You've got the top, the middle level, and then the bottom level, and I'll show you what they're for. On the top, I carved the insignia. In this case, this is for a naval flight officer who had command at sea. It's a special order, so I was able to put 2 insignia in there. And if you flip it open, you have his name, and of course I blocked out his name because for his privacy, in United States Navy. And then in each of these pockets, they're custom made for a particular type of device. They're soft shoulder boards, hard shoulder boards, ribbons, belt buckle. And in each one of these, I've actually carved soft shoulder board, so you know what goes there. When you lift up to get to the bottom level, that's where you keep metals. So you got the large metals, the small metals. You can keep other things in there. I think I've carved metals, and over here I carved sea salt and scuttlebutt. Pretty much put it whatever you want in there. Now I use these nice brass clasps to hold them together. I get these from Lee Valley. And then you just go ahead and assemble this. And clasp it. Now for the hinges, I use these box stop hinges from Brusso. They stop at 95 degrees. Very nice brass hinge, high quality, and fitting of a piece that's going to be heirloom quality. These are made of walnut. I carve them out of a single, each part is out of a single piece, so there is going to be some wood movement, but so far that hasn't been any big problem. Now to finish these boxes, I simply use Deft Clear Wood Finish spray can, and I'll tell you what, these spray nozzles they're making these days are pretty good. This does a nice job. I never get any globs or anything. It's easy to use. I don't have to set up. There's no cleanup. It's a real winner for me. You know, I think all woodworkers get asked that perennial question, what kind of glue do you use? Well, I'm going to tell you what glues I use, and there's a whole lot of glues out there, so this is in no way an exhaustive list, but it's done what I've needed to do for the various kind of projects. First of all, the workhorse. We call it yellow glue. Here's called Titebond Original. This stuff is, you know, a PVA glue, and it just, you know, you can use it for just about anything. Very useful. I keep it in a little squeeze bottle and in a little needle point bottle here that I can get into tight spaces. There's the needle. Its cousin is called Titebond 2 or Titebond 3. Titebond 3 is the one that I use. I got some in a bottle here for waterproof jobs, and this is you know, it seems like the same as Titebond Original, but it's not. It's really a different kind of consistency and so forth, and it's got a darker glue line, which I like if I'm using dark woods, and of course if I'm doing anything that's going to be outside, this is what I'd use. You know, if I'm making a sign, putting together a sign, this is a good choice. When I'm doing the bent laminations, if I want a really, really strong, stiff joint, I'll use Unibond 800. This comes from Vacuum Pressing Systems, and what it is, it's a modified urea formaldehyde resin glue. It's two-part. You take the liquid part and you mix it with a powder. The powder is the catalyst. Comes in a couple of different colors. Here's the medium color. Also comes in the dark color. So I've got some various samples. Here's the medium color. Let me show you how stiff this stuff gets. It breaks like peanut brittle. That glue line is not going to creep. Here's what the dark looks like. You can compare that to the medium. And then of course, like I say, you can tint this to make it lighter with the light tint. Also, if you're going to use this for veneering where the veneer is thin and you're worried about a little bit of bleed through of the glue coming up from the substrate through the veneer, they make a thing called Unibond Blocker. It's just a powder. All it really does, it just stiffens up the glue so that it's a little thicker and doesn't want to come bleeding up through the surface. Now, I use the Unibond for things like the bent lamination on this drawer. Here's a rough of that. And this is a really stiff piece. It can't bend. It's not allowed to change shape over time. And so that's great for that application. You can also use it for veneering, but you can also use a one-part glue for veneering and not have to worry about the two-part mixing and so forth. This is called Better Bond adhesive. It comes from Veneer Supplies, and I've got this in a light color, and I've also got it, see which one is it, here we go, in a medium color. Again, this is a PVA type glue with some thickeners added, and it's good for veneering. I don't think I'd use it for laminating where there's a lot of stress, but for veneering it's fine. And here's a sample of a curved piece that I made a while back that has the veneer on the curved substrate, and that's what I use. I use the Better Bond for that particular application. If you're going to do some veneering of a large surface, sometimes I like to use a heat setting glue, and I've got something called Heat Lock. Again, this is from Veneer Supplies, and what you do is you put this on the veneer and the substrate and let it pretty much dry, and then you lay your veneer on and you go ahead and iron it, and it works great. And I'll link you to a video here where I made a desk, a big desktop, and I used this, and it just did a great job. There's a couple other glues I use very occasionally. One is just super glue. I don't use this for anything structural on my pieces, but occasionally you just need to hold something in place. Works great. And then sometimes I'll use epoxies. Now, I'm not a big epoxy guy who has, tubs of epoxy and, that you can make gallons of this stuff. I'll just use little tubes of epoxy for various jobs just to hold something together where I need a really good bond, and these woodworking glues just aren't going to do the trick. And that's pretty much it. Again, my workhorse is the Titebond Original. Second place would be the Titebond 3. When I need a really stiff glue line, I'll use the Unibond 800, mix it up in the color that I want. When I'm doing just veneering, low stress veneering, I'll use the cold press type of PVA glues with the Better Bond cold press light and medium. And when I'm going to do a large surface that I'm worried about getting right and I don't want to be under a real stiff time constraint, I'll use the Heat Lock because I pretty much can take all day ironing this down and get it just like I want it. And that's it. That's the glues from Andy's workshop.